Okay, just a couple things I want to remind you of before I get started. Number one, I'm running the St. Jude Marathon as a hero. That means I'm trying to raise money for St. Jude. You can go to heroes.stjude.org/Von Rawls. Here's a link, and donate. Every little bit helps. Please go. Donate. Give. Number two, Lift Heavy Run Long has an app. You can go to liftheavyrunlong.com and learn all about that. No matter what your training goals are, whatever your fitness goals are, there is a program on there for you. I am starting the 50K program on this coming Monday because I'm going to go and crush the Sylamore 50K in February, and I can't wait to get started. So, liftheavyrunlong.com, go check out the app. You can get a week for free. Number three, I don't know how you'd be watching this video if you didn't know that we had a podcast, but we have a podcast. It's called the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast, and you can find it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, here's another link for you. It's so awesome to have this community of awesome people that grown into this awesome thing. It's really cold. I'm just out here with no clothes on. All right, I want to talk today about the Big Hill Pond 25K and 50K. Boy, was it an experience. There were a lot of people there. It was a lot of fun. If you missed out on it, do not miss it the next time it comes around because it is a heck of a race. We had people come from out of town. It was just amazing. It was a great experience. I got to run an aid station there. I'm going to go ahead and say it was the big aid station because it felt like it was, and we got to see all the runners multiple times. Maybe everybody else did too, but it was just a lot of fun. We had a great group running the aid station, and it was just a great experience to meet a lot of new people and help people out on their run and give them what they need, and just an all-around great experience running an aid station. I camped out the night before, so probably 10 years ago, I bought a tent, or somebody gave me a tent for Christmas or my birthday or something, and I never used it. I loaned it to a friend of mine several years ago, and he used it and then brought it back to me, and I never used it again. But I decided what I wanted to do was go and camp at Big Hill Pond and, run the aid station the next day. So I even took the tent. I took the tent to we have a house on the river that we can go to. It belongs to my in-laws. And so I decided I would go and do a test camp with my tent, since I haven't ever used it before, and it went well. I figured it all out. I got the tent set up and spent the night. It was good. It was fun, and everything seemed to work just fine. So my plan was to take this tent to Big Hill Pond. Wilson had 2 campsites, and so I figured I could find a spot on one of those campsites to pitch my tent and spend the night, and it would be a lot of fun. And I was really looking forward to it because it was just exciting. It was going to be a lot of fun. So I got everything packed up. I left work early. I left work early, probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or something like that, so that I'd have plenty of daylight to find the campsite, get my tent set up, and hang out for the evening, go to bed, no problem, wake up, and go do my aid station thing. So everything went well. I got the tent set up, got the fire going. Everything was great. It was supposed to rain that night, but I wasn't really worried about that. I knew it was going to rain sometime between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And so had the fire, hung out for a while with a couple of people that were around. And that was fun because we had a couple of people drive up while we're sitting around the fire and introduce themselves from out of town, that they were, followers of the Lift Heavy Run Long community, and got to meet them. So that was a lot of fun. And the night went on, and it was time for bed, so I went to bed. And I woke up about 2, maybe 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was soaking wet. I don't know to this day. Maybe somebody out there is an adventurous outdoorsman that could help me figure out what happened. But my tent, the cover over my tent, the rainfly or whatever it's called, it didn't work. Either I put it on upside down or something, but it was not working. So there was water leaking in my tent, and everything was wet. I mean, it was soaking. So I didn't know what to do. So I realized the night before that I was going to have to break the tent and the campsite down in the morning when I got up, because we had to be out of the campsite by noon the next day. And since I was running the aid station, I knew that I wouldn't be able to get back there before then to get everything broken down before noon. So I thought, I'm standing there, everything is wet, and I thought, well, I'll just shove all this stuff in my car in the morning. And I gathered my my sleeping bag and my pillow, and I went and got in the back of my Honda Fit. Now I have a little car, Honda Fit. Opened up the trunk, opened up the hatch, crawled in the back, laid down the seats, crawled in the back, and just went to try to go to sleep. And then it stormed the rest of the night. So I get up the next morning. I woke up, it was probably 4 o'clock. So I don't know, didn't sleep that much, maybe an hour or so. But I woke up, it's 4 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to get this stuff all packed up, because I'm meeting my crew at the pavilion to go to the aid station around 6. So, I knew I had to get up early. So I got out of the car. It's still raining. Luckily, I found a poncho type thing in the back of my car while I was sleeping, which is kind of cool because it was raining still when I got up. So I put my poncho on and went over to the tent to assess the damage. And literally everything was soaking wet. I mean, it was full. There was standing water in the whole tent. Everything was just drenched, just water everywhere. It was good I didn't try to stay in there, because it wouldn't have worked. So I was better off in the back of my Honda Fit. So I couldn't see. I had a lantern. It was pitch dark, and so I just started tearing the tent down. And I couldn't. At this point, I wasn't going to be able to break this tent down, fold it up, and stick it in the bag neatly, and get everything squared away. So I just literally tore everything down. It's pouring down rain. I'm gathering up tents, and I'm just shoving stuff in the back of my car. The hatch is open. I'm just literally cramming things into the back of my car. Got my coolers, stuffed them in the back of the car, all that good stuff. And my bags, my suitcase and everything, it was just all wet. So I just crammed it all into the back of the car and went on my way. And I think I actually have a picture I could show you. I can figure out how to stick a picture in here of the back of my car. I just literally crammed full of everything because I couldn't put it away. It was pouring down rain and it was terrible. And so I got everything shoved in the car and got in the car and went on to drive to the pavilion to meet my aid station crew and to go down to our aid station, and which was just a really cool experience. Again, there were a couple of people that came from out of town. One gal from Arizona and one from Michigan came down because they said they were fans of the show, and they wanted to come down and run the race because we've been talking about it on the podcast for so long. And so that was fun to meet them, and just to be again on the opposite side of an ultra, which is running an aid station. It was just a lot of fun because I've definitely been on the runner side of it several times, but I've never, really had the experience of being able to help them along the way and fill up their water bottles, tell them which way they're supposed to be going, and all this kind of stuff, because it gets confusing. It's funny to see, because and again, I've experienced it before, but it's fun to see on this side, which is 25 miles into a race like this, a lot of people, sometimes you just get to a point where you don't know which way you're supposed to go. You come into an aid station and you're like, I ask people, what do you want me to fill your bottle up with? And you're like, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you want to fill my bottle up with? They don't know. And they don't know which way to turn around once they get done eating their aid station food and filling up their bottles. They don't know which way to turn. They'll turn around and go back the way they came. You just get to the point where it's like, I just got to put one foot in front of the other, point me in the right direction. And so that was a lot of fun to experience that from the other side. And apparently this was an incredibly hard race. So if you're looking for a good ultra to do, next year is going to be a good chance to not miss it, because our aid station was at the railroad tracks, and so when they came into our aid station, they went out on a 3-mile loop, and it's not an easy 3-mile loop. I want to say it took most people about an hour to 45 minutes at least to an hour to complete this loop. And so they did this loop multiple times, at least twice. I think the 50Kers had to do the loop twice. And so when the 50K group came for their last loop, we had the 2:30 p.m. cutoff. So if anyone came out of our loop past 2:30, they weren't allowed to finish the race. So it got pretty stressful there for a few minutes when at the end near 2:30 when everybody was coming in, and we had to tell them, look, you got to be done with this loop by 2:30 or else you can't continue. And we had a park ranger that was there with us all day long, and he was pretty adamant about it. He was gonna make sure that we didn't let them go. And so we had Gary Wilson and Gary Owens came through. Wilson came through. Amanda came through, and she had plenty of time left, and she crushed the loop. She attacked it, got out of there in plenty of time, and then Wilson came through. He really turned it on and got through before 2:30, and then there were I had a couple of people come in. It was like 2:30, and I looked over at the ranger and I was like, it's 2:30, and he's like, just let those two go, and he goes, nobody else can go. So we had a couple come through at 2:35, and I felt so bad for them. They just couldn't continue. So that was pretty rough, but it is, all that to say, it is not an easy course. You have to climb the fire tower a couple times, and honestly, I wish I'd have ran the race. So next year, I don't know, it'll be a tough battle between running an aid station and actually running the race, because it looks like just a really good race to be running. But overall, just a really good experience. I mean, we had our community, this Lift Heavy Run Long thing is just exploding and, growing more and more every day. And just to see the community come out and support each other and just hang out with each other and run races, it's just a lot of fun. And I can't wait for next year, and I can't wait for Sylamore. That's about all I got, but just wanted to get a vlog out there. And remember, go listen to the podcast and leave a review on iTunes. 5 stars. Review. I'll talk to you soon.